We like that song. Can you tell? Any excuse to play I Got You, Babe. So President Trump and Cher, how about that in one sentence, right? They are agreeing. They had a fleeting moment of agreement, I should say, on immigration. The frequent Trump critic tweeting, "I understand helping struggling immigrants, but my city, Los Angeles, isn't taking care of its own. What about the 50,000 citizens who live on the streets, people who live below the poverty line and hungry? If my state can't take care of its own, many are vets," she writes, "how can it take care of more?" Good question, a lot of people ask. President Trump, who has suggested sanctuary cities take in immigrants, then retweeted saying, "I finally agree with Cher." Here is how Bernie Sanders responded to what President Trump has been suggesting last night. Watch this. Right now, if you were the president of the United States, we have overflowing facilities. They need to go somewhere because they're in that asylum process.
What about building?
Where would you put them?
What about building proper facilities for them right now?
Where?
That can be done right on the border. Right on the border at the same time.
So the people who live on the border should have more facilities in their states, but sanctuary cities which have said they're open to accepting people should not take more.
Now, this is a political act on the president.
It's a real question.
That's a real question. No, it's not a real question.
Yes, it is. Is it a real question? If you're one of those people and you need to go somewhere, I think it's a real question. It's a real question for all of those individuals who have crossed the border and taken their lives in their hands to do so, to try to claim asylum here. Joining me now, Katie Pavlich, townhall.com news editor and a Fox News contributor, and former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. Welcome to both of you. Great to have you here. I should mention that Cher was so horrified that the president agreed with her that she sent this really scathing tweet saying all these things about him. I think we have it up. And she called him a lizard brain, among other things. So that's the next part of the Cher Twitter saga, just in case you missed it. But Ed Rendell, let me start with you. You know, you saw what Bernie Sanders said last night, suggesting that it's not a real question to ask what the solution is, the near-term solution for where all of these hundreds of thousands of people that have crossed should be taken care of and housed while they wait for their process. Your thoughts?
Well, look, the answer is that the people should be held where the asylum courts are, because it makes no sense to send them to Chicago and then bring them back to the asylum courts, which are on the border. So to that extent, Senator Sanders is right. We ought to build, even if they're temporary, new facilities to house these people who are lawfully seeking asylum. They're not illegals. It is legal to come to the United States seeking asylum. That's why we have asylum courts. The asylum courts should rule as quickly as possible and determine whether people can stay in the United States
something like 80 to 90% of those who come across claiming asylum are not eligible. And then most of them get released into the population. So it's a pretty, that's a very...
If they're not eligible for asylum, they should be sent back.
So you would change the law?
They have to be held until they have a court decision.
Okay. So the law now currently states that... The law now currently states that unaccompanied minors and families cannot be held for more than 20 days. The asylum backlog in this country is something like 700,000 cases, which takes years to get through. So the law does not allow for ICE and Customs Enforcement and Health and Human Services to hold these people until their asylum court dates. So they're already being released into the country, and they are being released into places all over the not just Chicago and sanctuary cities, as the president has suggested, but they're going wherever they please. And the fact is that the federal government all the time sends unaccompanied minors to sponsors inside the United States, to people who are oftentimes here illegally themselves. One more point on the Cher thing. She's talking about resources here. And we've talked about extensively on this show and others about the laws and the asylum claims and all of that. But when she's talking about Los Angeles not being able to take care of its own, she's right. I mean, illegal immigration is a devastating problem when it comes to economics, because it's about limited resources, whether it's healthcare, incarceration, police resources, humane conditions to put people who are coming into the country. And it's a matter of governments not being able to provide for people who are citizens in their cities right now. And now we're dumping thousands of people into those cities and expecting them to have humane conditions for these people.
Let me ask Ed this. This is Mayor de Blasio. He is one, the Oakland mayor's another, who have said that we should be welcoming everybody into our country, and they are essentially sanctuary cities. But when it comes to this question of, well, could you take some of them? No way. No way. Here he is.
It's illegal. It's just plain illegal. We'll meet him in court. We'll beat him in court. He said he was going to cut off our security funding because we did not ask documentation status, because we would not cooperate with everything ICE was doing. We said we would go to court and stop him. We did. So this is just patently illegal. We'll stop it.
You know, I mean, there's, you know, basically what the president's done here, Ed, is to call their bluff and say, you know, you say that we need to be open, but many of these cities are not obviously on the border, and they're not dealing with the day-to-day difficulties of this situation. And then as soon as somebody suggests, you know, that maybe they could help take some of these people, no way, no way. Oakland mayor, who, you know, tipped people off to ICE, she said, no, thank you. You can't come here. We can't handle it. What do you think about that hypocrisy?
Well, look, it is hypocritical, but the bottom line is Katie's right. The law should be changed. 20 days is ridiculous given the current burden. We should construct these facilities where the asylum courts are. Because if you send someone to Philadelphia or Chicago or Oakland and the asylum courts are on the border, the chances of getting them back ever are nil. So we've got to do it in a comprehensive way that makes sense. We've got to hire more asylum judges. We've got to, just like we need to hire more.
Do you think we should change the asylum laws so that we don't have 80 to 90% of the people who come seeking asylum not eligible? Should we change the law?
No. What we should do is make it clear that if you come here seeking asylum, you are going to be held at the border until you have your day in court, in the asylum court. And if you lose and the judge does not grant you asylum, you are sent back. Right. And if we do that, it will stop the influx.
We got to leave it there. Thank you very much, Ed Rendell, Katie Pavlich. Good to have you both here tonight.
And great job last night as well.
Oh, thank you very much. It was active in there.
It was.
A little crazy.